Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Shots from the Winchester podcast, brought to you by Greencastle Consulting. I'm your host, Al Green, and today we're talking to Alex Canacci. All right. How long have you been with the company?
I started as a SkillBridge intern back in January, and then I became a full-time employee in April.
Nice. So you've been here for a year.
Almost,
a year.
We're getting close.
Almost a year.
We're getting close to a year.
That's pretty cool. So we're having another Meet the GACer episode, obviously, and we're going to get into a little bit more of a conversation. He just got married. He's got this awesome suit on. I thought he was about to sell me a car. But we got to talk about this too. Obviously, we got to talk about this suit. So let's get into when you just got married.
Yeah, September 2nd, so just a few weeks ago. So we got engaged January of 2022.
Nice.
So we had been together for a year at that point. We got engaged. Actually, we masqueraded it as a Christmas photo makeup. Or we were going to take family photos because people were a little bit sick with COVID that year prior.
Yeah.
So she didn't realize that we were getting the whole family together. We had a photographer there, and so it just seemed very normal.
Yeah.
And then I surprised her. I mean, her mom was in on it. She knew what was going on. Her brothers knew.
Yeah.
So we surprised her and did the proposal, there. So we actually had to capture that with a photographer and everything. So that was
awesome.
Great. But that was January of last year. Fast forward to September of this year, so about 18 months, and we did our wedding in the Dominican Republic, actually.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah. So kind of a destination wedding. Originally, we were going to do it in Indiana. Logistically, it just became a little bit more challenging, which sounds silly, but realistically speaking, the Dominican was actually easier for us. And my wife grew up in the Dominican. Her family's been down there for a long time. I mean, she went to middle school down there. After college, she lived down there. So it meant a lot to her to do it down there. And so when that part of the conversation came up a little bit later last year, we decided to make the pivot. And so spent 12 months planning the wedding in the Dominican.
Nice, man.
Yeah.
That's fun, man. A nice destination wedding. And another good thing about a destination wedding is that you can kind of limit your guest list a little bit.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because, because that can get crazy. Like a lot of people, like I said, I filmed weddings for a long time, so I've seen a lot of different dynamics. And seeing a 400 people wedding, and then I already know the numbers from the catering company, how much per plate those people are, and it's amazing how people can afford some of these.
Yeah, I mean, our wedding at one point when it was in the States, it was trending over 400 people, and when we made the pivot down to the Dominican, it significantly reduced. I'd say we had 170 down there, which is still pretty substantial for a destination wedding like that.
Yeah.
But it was perfect. I mean, I got to spend time with everybody throughout the weekend, and it gave us the chance. It was a quality over quantity kind of situation with regard to the people, and we had plenty of events throughout the weekend between a welcome cocktail, a golf scramble, pickleball, boat, the wedding itself. I mean, it was just time on the beach. I mean, there was so much to do with so many people, and people were free to kind of treat it as their own vacation. They got to play golf or go to the beach or go shopping or do whatever they want. Attend the events. Don't attend the events. Just enjoy yourself. Be there for the wedding, please. And the reception. But otherwise, it was fair game. And so everybody really got a chance to just really enjoy it and to see this special place for my wife that she truly, truly loves.
Now, I do want to address something. This suit that you've got on right now is so sharp, man. Like I came in, I was just like, are we selling cars?
Yeah.
What's going on, right? But this is a really nice suit, and you had your suit tailored, right, for your wedding.
This he's become a friend now. His name's Caleb. Elevated Citizen is his company, and he does just custom pieces.
Nice.
He started out with a store, and it just grew to like his clientele, and the store's really closed now, and he just does custom jobs. So he made my tux for the wedding. He actually made this outfit, stole it from the wedding weekend as well.
Nice.
But we curated that together. I mean, he's phenomenal. He's really, really phenomenal. And he's been working on another piece for me right now for my sister's wedding coming up next month.
Nice, man.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good shout out. We'll put a link in the description.
Yeah,
for
Caleb, Elevated Citizen, Indiana.
I used to shoot weddings for about 15 years.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I shot weddings for a good long time, and I was very much a proponent of the first look. I think it's a good look,
especially because you do all the photos before.
We
didn't take a single formal photo after the wedding.
That's awesome.
We went. We got to actually go to the cocktail hour, enjoy the cocktail hour, enjoy being with our friends.
Yeah.
I mean, we had was so cool. We had a fucking cigar roller down there.
Yeah.
That was awesome. We brought a bunch of like American bourbon down there too.
Nice. That's the best, man. Like, one of the things I said, like, first of all, wedding traditions are medieval.
Right.
You know, like a lot of that stuff you don't have to do. You don't, the best man was the best fighter. All right.
Right.
Like, so
at the wedding,
you're not having to battle anybody to like to survive to marry your wife, right? So you don't need that. And then the bridesmaids all used to wear white, so you could confuse who the bride was.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So that because people were trying to kill these people.
Yeah.
So that they didn't get the land. Yeah. So it was a problem, right? So there's a lot of traditions that just you don't have to do, but we just do it because of the formality of it.
Sure.
And one of the things that always bothered me was you wait almost till the end of the day to see each other, and like, this is your day. You guys should be together the whole time.
Yeah. Yeah, that would have been tough because our wedding was at 6:30 p.m. Like, it was a late wedding. I mean, we didn't realize because we were trying to time it with the sunset, but we moved locations after we had kind of set the time. So initially we would have had the sunset behind us, but we were facing like, directionally the opposite direction, and that threw everything off. So it was actually, I was in the middle of reading my vows and I wrote in cursive, small, in my book, and I'm like trying to read it. I'm like having the hardest time.
Yeah.
And thank God the people in the back that were working there like recognized that, and they threw a spotlight on me during it, like a very light spotlight, but I could actually read it. That's good. Yeah, because I'd say when we finished, it was, the sun was down for sure.
So like, you were like probably in that civil twilight
ENT
space.
Yeah,
Exactly. That's hard for a photographer for sure. Like, because I know once that sun starts to go down, the color temperature changes.
Completely changed.
And then you have to make so many adjustments on your camera in order to really get it right.
I don't know how they did it. I really don't know. They were incredible. Like,
that's great.
The pre-videos and pictures we've seen, I'm just like mind blown with how they were able to capture it so well. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, big win for the team.
Yeah. The boarding school situation.
Yeah.
I was like, wow.
Started young. So when I was 10 years old, I attended a boarding military school, and it kind of started the path that led, I guess in a weird way, here. But my mother was on a trip into Indiana to visit some friends, past a billboard. I mean, back in those days, I mean, this was early 2000s, like 2001. She saw a billboard for this military school, came home, hopped on the desktop with the dial-up internet, got in and learned more about this school. And it just sounded like such a great opportunity. Shockingly, my parents were very supportive. So at 10 years old, I left home, started military school in Northeast Indiana at a school called Howe Military School. And then that really just kept rolling. I ended up at another military boarding school in Indiana, not too far away, called Culver Military Academy. And that's when my family completely relocated from Ohio to Indiana, because they figured, hey, this kid isn't going to come home. I mean, he's going to be gone, forever at this point. So they relocated to small town Culver, Indiana, 1,500 people. But it was right there next to the academy. So I went to school there. My sister came in behind me. The girls' side of things is not a military school. So there's Culver Military Academy for the boys, and then Culver Girls Academy for the girls. So she went to the girls' school. My mom started working there. She's been there for 17 years. She runs the dining hall for the entire campus. So it's become a family thing. And I mean, that really that put me on this path toward the military. I mean, at that point, being at two different military schools before I was even 18, the lights for West Point started to kind of go off, and it went through college advising, and I ended up at West Point. I mean, it was kind of a perfect transition from one to the next.
So you were at 10 years old driven to do this.
Oh yeah, I mean, military service runs in the family. Both my cousins, my male cousins were in the military. One in the Navy. He's still serving. He's enlisted in the Navy. My other cousin was in the Guard. But almost every male in my mom's side of the family has served, going all the way back to the American Revolution.
Wow. Wow, that's some deep history, man.
Yeah, it's truly remarkable to look back at that lineage, and to know there's such a rich history of service. Because it's and it's not necessarily all career. I mean, we've all done different shapes and sizes, different services, but giving back to this country has always been at the forefront of our family.
That's amazing. And you mentioned West Point.
Yeah.
And now, so that means I don't know a lot about West Point, so
Sure.
don't shoot me. But I know you guys get the tall hats.
Yeah,
At the end
those
of that.
parade hats.
Yeah.
Pretty gnarly. Pretty gnarly. Yeah, the tar bucket they call it. That's
No, hard bucket. That's what they're
tar
named.
bucket.
Tar
like the black
bucket.
hat. Tar bucket.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
I'm sure some history to it, but yeah. I mean, it was such a unique experience compared to what a lot of my friends coming out of high school transitioned into. The way I saw it for myself, going from Culver Military Academy to West Point, it was like going from the minors to the majors. I mean, my high school was completely, when it was founded, it was derived off of West Point's model. I mean, West Point was opened in 1802. My high school was opened in 1894. So there was already about almost 100 years there of practice. Like, all right, this system works. And so, going from one to the next, it was just a lot more. It was just bigger, more intense, but nothing was necessarily wildly new. But it certainly pushed me to become the best version of myself that I could have been.
Nice, man. That's really cool.
Couldn't have done it.
So I have a question rolled out for you right here.
Yeah.
For someone watching this episode who might be thinking about West Point, what advice, warnings, accolades would you give them from your experience?
Sure. I mean, first and foremost, if you're not ready to give 100% and then some, don't waste your time. Don't waste the Academy's time. I mean, if you want to be there, you got to want it 100%. To caveat that though, if you're committed, every person there is committed to making you better every single day.
Nice.
I mean, the professors, the TAC officers, every person in the supporting staff, I mean, they truly care about your development and your betterment. And so if you're willing to put in that effort for them, they're willing to put that effort in for you. And it's not going to be your normal college experience. What your friends do, go into a normal university. That's not the lifestyle you're going to have, but that's not what you're signing up for. I mean, you're signing up for a place that is truly going to make you into the best leader and the best person that you can possibly be.
Coming from West Point, did that give you the leadership qualities moving into your career afterwards? Would you say that, or would you say that you built some of those leadership qualities over time? Yeah.
So, I mean, first and foremost, like just going to West Point is not like the end all be all. It's not like I went to West Point, so I'm awesome. Like that's not at all how it is. It's a much, you reap what you sow. So there's every opportunity to practice different leadership approaches and styles. I mean, I look back to the way I led in college versus now, there are marked differences, and it should be that way. I mean, that's your opportunity to test things out, find out what works, what doesn't work, learn from those who are great leaders, or you can learn, there is a lot to learn from somebody who's not so great of a leader. You learn those things that, hey, I probably shouldn't do that when it's my turn. And so it definitely is, I think they wanted to call it like a leadership laboratory. I mean, it is truly a place where you can develop yourself to your highest potential. But again, it falls back to that you reap what you sow. If you're not willing to put in the effort, the time, make those sacrifices, you're not going to get as much out of it as somebody who's willing to do those things. Right,
and that's one of the things that I learn a lot about on this show especially. We talk a lot about leadership. One of the things that is really important to understand is how to fail gracefully.
True.
Because like once you learn from something, or even if it's someone else, you learn from their mistake.
Right.
That helps you to be stronger, be better, be more mindful, especially with your subordinates, if you want to call them subordinates, or like the people that are under you.
Yeah, I mean, at West Point, like failure is a part of daily life. I mean, it's how you respond to that failure. Can you fail forward? Continue to make progress and learn from your mistakes to keep moving forward. I mean, that was something that was drilled into us early on. Was I'm not too concerned about if you make the right or the wrong decision. I just want you to make a decision, because that's the only thing. Like, indecision is the only thing worse than making a bad choice.
True.
And so they really forced you to weigh all your options and make the best decision in that moment from your foxhole. And if that's right, wonderful. If it's wrong, that's a bummer. But at least you made a decision and you kept moving forward.
Yeah, that's cool. And from that, you actually, and this sounds awesome, but I'll get this from you as to see how awesome it actually was. But you spent 3 years of your service in Italy.
I did. Yeah. That was my first duty station. Yeah. So,
wow.
Yeah, after graduation, I went down to Fort Benning as an infantry officer. Did my initial, basic officer leader course, ranger school, airborne school, all the typical infantry pipeline for a young lieutenant. And then in summer of 2015, I wrapped everything up and I headed out. I was actually on my way to Germany. So my orders kept getting bounced around between Italy and Germany. And by the time I finally left, I was on my way to Germany to join the 2nd Cavalry Regiment. And when I landed in Ramstein, everybody's name is getting called to go on the different buses to the different bases all over Germany because Ramstein is rather centrally located, and my name never got called. And I go up to the sergeant there, and I'm like, hey, Sergeant, can you help me figure out where I'm supposed to go? You never called my name. Just don't really know what's going on.
Right.
Pull out my orders. It says I'm supposed to go to Graf. What's going on here? And he goes in his computer. He's like, no, sir, your orders have been changed. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, they changed today. And you're going to Italy. Hotel's across the street, flight leaves tomorrow. Have a great day.
Wow.
And I was just like, wait a minute. My household goods are on their way to Germany. My car's on my way to Germany. I have like 2 suitcases and a duffel bag here. And I'm going to Italy. Warning. And so the next day I was on a plane to Italy. Spent the next 3 years there. It took 3 months to get my car and my household goods.
3 months?
3 months, yeah.
What?
Yeah. So that was that was an experience, but I couldn't have asked for a better unit to start with.
Yeah.
I mean, truly remarkable people. I mean, to be around so many young lieutenants that were so much better than me, and just I could really learn from. Not to mention the non-commissioned officers, the company grade officers, the field grades. I mean, truly phenomenal people with phenomenal talents that I could learn from daily, and that I think made me into an even better version of myself when I left there.
Nice. That's awesome, man. I love that you your journey started at age 10.
That's set the course.
Set the whole course for you. So you've been working at GAC for almost a year now. Does that mean you're out of the service?
Yes. So I was medically retired in May of this year, against my own wishes, which many people thought I was crazy for, it was early retirement, and people thought I was silly for doing it. And I was probably a 1 in 1,000 case where I said, no, I want to stay. I got diagnosed with an autoimmune disorder that doesn't really jive with the Army that well, long-term illnesses and that. So, I fought for as long as I could. I was told I got diagnosed with an autoimmune disorder 2 weeks after I graduated West Point. I was down at Fort Benning trying to start my training early. There were a couple opportunities that were being offered. I was there literally 2-3 weeks after I graduated. I found out I was sick. And it just started this whole move of now I'm not just serving, I'm now fighting to stay in the Army. And so I spent the next 9 years battling that. But toward the end there, I just I lost my case at the med board after many appeals and waivers and stuff. But I got 9 years when I shouldn't have even got 9 days. So I'm eternally grateful for all the opportunities that the Army gave me. I got to see the world. They sent me back to grad school. They built me into the man that I am today. And I couldn't have done that without all the leaders, people that cared about me, that guided me through my time in the Army. I mean, it truly created this person that's now in front of you today.
That's great, man. That's really good. I appreciate the service that you've put in, especially 9 years. I served 3.5, so it's
all time. Time is time, man.
Time is time. Yeah, and that's remarkable. And I was in the 1st Cav Division in Fort Hood. That was my permanent duty station when I got out, or when I got out of AIT. If they even still call it AIT.
I'd say this year has been a year of change. 2023. I mean, it was. Getting out of the Army was not easy, even though it was an inevitable thing. I knew was coming. I had May 3rd, 2023 on my calendar, realistically for 4 years. I mean, I knew that this was the final end date when my waiver would expire. There was very little chance that there was going to be anything else that happened, any sort of cure that would come out. So we're still hoping, still waiting. So this year we got out of the Army. My wife and I, we got married a few weeks ago. Started an internship here, bought a house in Indianapolis, completely relocated and uprooted our entire life from Fort Bragg, North Carolina to Indianapolis, Indiana. we're both surrounded by family again. I mean, my wife and I were both from Indiana. She's from Indianapolis. I'm from Northern Indiana.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's been a complete change. And then to fully immerse myself in Greencastle and to become, a full-time employee here after my SkillBridge internship, I mean, I landed on my feet. And again, I have to thank the Army for putting me in a position where, they allowed me to leave early to do my SkillBridge internship.
Yeah.
They supported me through that. And Greencastle, from the day I started here, they've been in my corner. They've had my back, and they've really supported me through that transition, which was truthfully very difficult for me. I mean, especially for somebody who didn't want to leave, to have to say goodbye to all of that. Something that you truly, it wasn't a job. It was a part of it was who I was. I mean, it's
since 10. Yeah.
I mean, it truly, people would ask me all the time, like, don't you think you're going to get burned out? Or I'm afraid if I do that for my kids, they're going to get burned out. And maybe that's true for some people, but for me, you don't get burned out from breathing. It's the way it's what you need to survive. It's your way of life. And the Army for me was simply my way of life. And granted, it wasn't a career. There's plenty of people that do far more time, but I mean, it was my number one priority for a very long time.
Yeah. Well, we're happy to have you here.
But I'm here now. I mean, I landed on my feet. I mean, I hate to end that on a sad note, but I mean, truthfully,
it's a good,
I owe it to a really great friend. Shout out to Amy Sanchez, one of West Point classmates. I was getting close to transitioning out, and I reached out to her just for some guidance, maybe a little bit of coaching, some support, some change management. She's like, why don't you just take a look at this? You know what I mean? Think about it. Maybe just do the internship, see, and I mean, from the first day I started here, I was hooked. And I mean, I love the culture, the people I'm around. I feel like, I left my Army family and came into the Greencastle family. Nice. And that's been a great part of this transition.
Nice. And that's one great thing about this too, especially if you're in the military and you're transitioning out of the military into a civilian world like this. It's a radical difference, honestly. Like it's a huge difference depending on where you're going, where you're at. But with the military culture and the family-oriented energy we have here, I think it's an easier transition to come into a place like this, which is veteran-owned, veteran-operated. We all have that same mentality, but we're also civvies,
Yeah, no, you're totally right. Totally right.
And I think that's a great transition. I think SkillBridge is a brilliant addition to coming out. I didn't have a SkillBridge coming out.
Yeah, I mean, newer thing.
But I at least I had a plan coming out, which was good.
Right.
Sometimes people don't have a plan, and that's hard. That's really hard because you don't know what you're stepping into. You don't know what skills you have that translate into civilian skills, and operators, and things like that.
That can be super challenging.
Yeah, for sure. Getting close to the end of the show here. Can you talk to us about some leadership skills that you've acquired, you've learned over time?
Yeah. I mean, there's always a little kind of tool bag, they say, that you kind of develop over time. I guess two different concepts. One, there was a mantra I started kind of gathering while I was going through Ranger School. I had asked some of these guys that had recycled a few times. They'd been there. I'm like, dude, how did you make it here? And honestly, one of the guys just kept saying, just be a bro. And so like, let's make it a little more politically correct, a little more inclusive there. So just be a good person. So be a good person, read the room, be value added. Those three things. That's my guiding mantra through my time in the Army, and it's really just followed me. They can be applied to anyone, anywhere. Be a good person. Just treat people with respect. The golden rule. Just be kind, compassionate, generous. Read the room. Look around you. Like physically look around you, and like who's around right now. What can I talk about? What can't I talk about? But just what does the team need right now from me? And then finally, be value added. Just it doesn't matter. It could be doing the dishes after a party to help clean up. It can be carrying the weight when it's when it's heavy and you're the strong guy that's there. I mean, we all have a role we can play, and it's not defined immediately. Like you can mold yourself into the role you need to fill. So be a good person, read the room, be value added. And finally, when it comes to leading teams, people will go to the end of the earth for you if they know that you actually care about them. You show them compassion, kindness, generosity, like I was talking about. I mean, I remember the first experience I had when I became a platoon leader, talking to my soldiers, and we had a couple things go missing, and we were having some problems. And I had already started to develop a small rapport with them just over the course of a month that I'd been there. And I'm a young lieutenant, freaking out. There's property missing. I don't know what to do. And they just looked at me and like, "We got you, sir. We'll take care of you." And it hadn't dawned on me until that moment that like they knew I cared about them and I would have done anything for them, and they were willing to return the favor in any way that I needed to. And so, you know, I think that's what drives a lot of the culture here. Like, you know, we know that Joe and the SLT, they care about us, and our team leaders and our engagement leaders, they truly care about us. They're not just here to, you know, make a quick buck and turn things over quickly. I mean, they care about our development. They care about taking care of us. And so when people know that you care about them, they will do anything for you. And so that's what I would take away. Take care of your people and they'll take care of you.
It's not just about, oh, you're the leader, you should just know what to do. You should just know how to handle that. It's not always that easy. It's not always that cut and dry. Sometimes we need to think together,
right?
You know, and it's important to get the people who are smarter than you in a lot of avenues,
right,
to be able to get those jobs done. So like, you can't be everything. You can't be with your hands on your hips like you're super whatever, you know. You've got to be able to pivot, listen, understand.
You got to be approachable. Like it has to start with a conversation. So you know, if you're not approachable, and you know, then people won't come and talk to you. So, and that's, as a leader, you know, it's challenging sometimes because we can't be reactive. You know, we can't, you know, tell our people, hey, come to me with anything, we'll work it out, and they come to you with bad news, and then you freak out about it. Like, you got to be able to sit there and let them tell the story, let them finish, let them get it all out, and then okay, now let's work on it. You know what I mean? And that's not to say that you can't get mad at the people that work for you, and like, you know, sometimes you got to just
situational.
Exactly. Like you got to correct people sometimes, but at the end of the day, you got to start off by being approachable, being able to kind of relate to that person. That's where that compassion side comes into. You know, understand from their foxhole, maybe this was the best decision they had at that time. But from your position over here, you're like, maybe that wasn't the best, but you can see the whole battle space, whereas they only see that little piece.
Right.
You know. So yeah.
Good stuff, Alex Canacci. Thank you so much, man.
I appreciate
it's been
you
a minute too, because we've been trying to get on there.
Yeah, since June.
Since June. So like, I'm so happy we're able to finally get this going today.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you 100%. So much. Yeah. Anything else you want to say to the audience before we go?
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. I mean, thank you to Greencastle. Thank you to the Army, my friends and family that supported me all the way here. I mean, I could not be here without the many people that helped bring me along the way. So thank you. Gratitude.
Yeah.
That's what I got.
Thanks for tuning in. If you found this content to be useful and entertaining, do us a favor and hit the like button. And while you're at it, hit that subscribe button. You can stay up to date with new episodes that we post every week. See you in the next episode.